Hi everyone, this is Neil. So this is the final part of your Module 2 assignment. And remember, Module 2 is the one on linking theory and practice. And this is the part where we look at quality enhancement, where we look at ways in which you've received feedback in order to try and improve some aspect of your teaching. And what we're focusing on here is the fifth and final learning outcome, which is to demonstrate a purposeful engagement with a quality enhancement process designed to help improve the student learning experience. I realise that the wording of that sounds a little bit formal perhaps and maybe a bit off-putting. I apologise if it is off-putting. But there are two important things in there. First of all is, well, okay, what's a quality enhancement process? And we take a really broad view of that. Really, what we're looking for is any way in which you've received feedback which you've then acted on in order to improve your teaching. So it could be from an observation, could be a PG Cert observation, a college graded observation, an observation that you might have arranged with your peers as part of your action research project. Any one of those, absolutely fine. Or it could be feedback directly from students in some kind of a way. So maybe you asked students yourselves, had a conversation, handed out a questionnaire or did a little focus group as part of your ARP and got feedback that way. That's absolutely fine. Or it could be one of the ways in which college goes and gets feedback from students for you, so through a board of studies or through an end of year course questionnaire or course evaluation. Any way in which you've received feedback in some systematic way is absolutely fine and appropriate for this assignment. But the other aspect is, most immediately what we do with the feedback is we do something to try and improve our own teaching. And of course, that's brilliant. But you're asked to take it one step further in this assignment. And this is where the challenge comes, which is also that what we're trying to do is trying to help improve the student learning experience. So what you're being asked to do here is be really explicit. If you've worked to improve some aspect of your teaching, how exactly was that intended in your mind to help improve students' learning? And it's that extra step that you need to put into this assignment. Now, the assessment brief is, and we'll go to the bottom first, is really short, 500 words. You're going to have to write something very focused, very specific, and very tight for this part of the assessment. You're not asked to or expected to quote from any literature or show any reading or any of that, because that's going to come in your essay part of this assignment. This is where you're going to write in a really focused way about something specific you've done, where you've received some feedback and you've worked to improve an aspect of your teaching specifically to help students learning in some way, and that you're able to name and explain that way. Okay? So the brief is to write a short critical account of your engagement with a quality enhancement process. As I said in the previous slide, lots of different ways, lots of different processes that count there. We've said here, such as an end of course, BIM course evaluation, but it could be other feedback from students, observations, whatever. Discussing what changes you plan to your course delivery, why, and what impact this has had or is intended to have on the student learning experience. You can do this one of two ways. You can either talk about changes you're intending to make, or you can talk about changes you actually have made as a result of the feedback and what happened. So you can write in the future or you can write in the past. It's absolutely fine. Whichever way you do this, the first section of your assignment will be the same. So, as I've already said, it's super short, 500 words. You need to be very specific. If I were you, I'd go for some feedback that actually really helped you change something in a way that you think has been meaningful or you think will be meaningful. But go for some feedback you've had which relates to a very specific area of your teaching you needed to work on. Writing something unfocused or general, or, I was just trying to improve my teaching, that really doesn't work for this assignment. You want something very particular and very focused, and it can be absolutely anything at all. You explain the context in which you got the feedback. How did you get it? Was it an observation? Was it from students? Whatever. And then you explain why you felt this feedback was important. What was it that made you think, oh yeah, I really need to do something about that? And specifically, going back to the students again, in what way did you think that improving this aspect of your teaching would benefit your students? So make sure you've really made that link very clear. Okay? Then for the second section of the assignment, and I'm using the word section loosely, I think that first bit's often between the third and a half, and then this is the rest of it. You have two options. The first option is for if you received the feedback, you decided on some changes, and you've already been able to implement those changes. If you have, then obviously you're going to be writing in the past tense. So explain briefly, what did you decide to do, and why did you decide to do that? And then focus on, okay, from your perspective, how well did this improvement work out? Did it really do the things you wanted it to do? And how do you know, what's your evidence for saying how well it worked or didn't work? But then don't forget you need to include the student's perspective as well. So you might have felt better about your own teaching, but how did your change also impact on your students' learning? Hopefully positively, and what's your evidence to support this? If you made a change and you felt really happy with it, but you didn't really see that it actually made much difference to your students' learning, that's completely fine, but that's what you write in the assignment. And you say, well, I hoped it was going to help students in this way. I'm not sure that it did, so maybe next time I'll try this instead. That would be grand. What we're looking for is to see that you can make the link all the way through from feedback to what you change to what impact it has on the students. You don't have to sort of make it up or pretend it had the most brilliant impact on your students ever. If it didn't, and if you were disappointed and it didn't work as you were hoping it would do, that's brilliant. Then that's what you say, because that shows that you've really thought about it well. Your second option for this final part of the assignment is if you've planned changes that you haven't yet been able to make, and that's, again, absolutely fine. In which case, you write about, okay, I've received this feedback, this is what I'm planning to do, this is why I'm planning to do it, and this is specifically what impact I hope I'm going to have on my students' learning. And then I also want to hear a little bit about, okay, so what are you going to be looking for? How will you know whether the changes you're planning are having the impact that you were hoping they were going to? What evidence are you going to be collecting? Or what are you going to be observing to let you know whether it's working or not? So it's a really nice little assignment, this. I think you can really show off your ability to think well and think creatively as a teacher. It's very short, so it's something you can just do as a nice standalone piece of work. You can make it very specific, but it's challenging in you needing to show this whole journey from feedback to what I changed to what impact did it have on my students. And obviously this is a really core skill as a teacher, being able to see that and work that through for ourselves in all sorts of different ways for the rest of our careers. So good luck and enjoy. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.